Hey guys, welcome to another Trade Genius podcast. Bob and Phil here as always. Guys, very important video today because a lot of people aren't paying attention to this. It's not in the mainstream media. You're hearing about submarines, but really you need to be hearing about this. Very important, affects what's on your table. Let's dive into this video.
Trade Genius.
Hey guys, really briefly before we jump into this video, appreciate all the likes and subscribes, and if you can ring that notification button, that really helps us out. In addition to that, if you guys don't mind, head over to tradegenius.co, check out our specials we have over there. There's a number of different specials with different packages for all different experience types. If you're more into education, we have a package for that. If you just like to get into the room, primarily, we have a package for that as well, where you can see where we're calling out trades and things like that live, and also posting signals into our Discord signal rooms. So check it out, tradegenius.co. Appreciate you doing that. Bob, I was very surprised at what you dug up here with regards to the drought conditions. I'm stunned. I've not been hearing anything about this.
Yeah, what's interesting about this is it's been kind of stealthy because everything's been cold this year, and I know Hawaii's been raining longer, and I live in Southern California. It's been cool and cloud cover and wetter than normal, but I haven't really been paying attention. And people who know me, I'm kind of a weather nerd, so I love following this stuff. And then all of a sudden, just like out of the blue, you started seeing wheat and corn prices popping. So we flipped over, and basically the USDA had to bring down the potential for the harvest this year. And it's not just the United States, Phil. I mean, India's having a problem, and Brazil's having their cows are freezing in Brazil on the equator.
Wow.
Just crazy. The farmers in Canada, snowing at midsummer. And the thing that really has me worried is United States, we are the marginal producer in the world, meaning that we can drive whether or not the world goes into shortages or not in the grain world. And you have a situation where on the drought monitor, you have a situation where the Midwest, Kansas is basically wheat country and Nebraska is basically corn country. But it's not that. It's leaking all the way east into Missouri, okay? And in the Northwest, Pacific Northwest, you also have drought. That's also wheat country. And in the Northeast, you had a drought, and you had that blowing smoke from the Canadian fires, Phil. Mm-hmm. And so basically, we're going to see across the board reduction in food production. And not just that, it's not just weather. In Florida, thousands of acres of vegetables are just rotting in the fields because they can't get enough people to work. And so we just have this problem just lighting up everywhere. And in the Southwest United States, we're having water wars. So farmers that usually can draw off to irrigate their fields are selling their water rights, year over year. California did it last year. They're going to do it in Arizona, where those guys have rights to the water. They can make more money not growing food and just simply sell the water off and make more profit. So, Phil, we have a across-the-board problem here.
Yeah, and you're starting to see it being affected in the price of corn. We show this corn chart. I mean, whoa, and I haven't been paying attention. I'm not a huge commodities guy, in agricultural commodities. I don't look at the charts very often, but when I saw the chart today, I was like, whoa, this looks like a Bitcoin chart, and that's a huge move for something like corn. A staple food like this. And I mean, we could get into here and speak all day to how, inflation, right? Food inflation is something the Fed can't control. And it's a problem. Like, this is nuts. This is not a move that is normal.
No. And look, they've been suppressing the agricultural commodities, like they suppress precious metals, like they suppress oil, and all of these things are coming at them at one time where they got to refill the SPR. Phil, because El Nino's coming, is that we're going to get some shut-ins in the Gulf of Mexico. We usually have a 90-day buffer because of the SPR. So when you shut down the Gulf drillers, is that they tap the SPR and then refill it when they start production again. Well, we're down to less than 30 days. So if we get hit with 2 or 3 tropical storms or hurricanes, they don't have to even be devastating. They still have to close down those rigs. We can end up even with a national energy shortage. At the same time, we have a food shortage, which means the Fed can't print these things. And this has always been our conjecture and our concern. When those things come together, the Fed is screwed. They can't fix it. And you end up in a situation where, people have to live and everything else gets put on hold because you can't afford it unless you live in an urban area and you can go to Lululemon and just pick up your stuff for free. Everybody else is going to have to go without.
Yeah, and here's another chart too about the 5-day rolling percent change. So obviously there's a spike here. You're seeing it in the price of corn. However, we're not even up to. We had a similar spike in 2022, but the situation here is more dire. The drought, which we'll show that chart here in a second, the drought's worse than what was going on in 2022, and the price spike is more immediate. So I don't think this chart, as far as the 5-day rolling change, is done yet, but I think it's much more, the leverage associated with this change is much higher here because of the conditions. And I'm not the weather guy, you are. I'm going to let you speak to this, but this drought map is crazy. I mean, I didn't realize how dire it was right in the middle of the heartland there.
Yeah, I mean, look, how you have to think of things is Minnesota produces grains and sugar. North Dakota, South Dakota produces grains and oils. Nebraska produces, obviously, they're known for corn. Kansas is known for wheat. Texas is known for beef, right? Missouri is pretty much mixed ag. Iowa, pork and corn. Okay, all these areas are suffering, and in the Northwest, that area that you see out there is Idaho, that's the northern part of Idaho. So that's pretty much just forest area, but there's wheat grows in there. And if that area of eastern Washington goes yellow or brown or red, that's the wheat. Their crop is a spring crop, so that they're going to be harvesting here in August and September. So if we get any kind of drought in there before that wheat gets mature, that's going to suffer too. And so, the only area of the country that seems to be unaffected by this is the Southeast. And if we start getting rolling tropical storms rolling through because of El Nino, then, the energy component is going to raise its head with the food. So, but the area, Nebraska and Kansas, is huge. I don't think you can understate that those states produce more than most countries. Okay, it's a big problem.
Not only that, too, the second order effects, right? Because cattle feed and all that stuff would be dramatically affected. So this is a huge problem. I think whenever you have an issue with the grains in this country, as far as production goes, it's a massive problem because of all the second order effects, supply chain wise and price wise, inflation wise.
Yeah, and I think maybe what we'll do next week is maybe we could talk about some of the stocks that will do well in this environment.
Yep.
And then also maybe we could also talk because Bitcoin's starting to raise its head here because all of a sudden they're approving all these new ETFs. And maybe we can finally get around to talking about the Bitcoin miners too. I think what's really interesting now, Phil, is that with the Fed being trapped, you're going to see more volatility. And I think we need to start showing people how they can protect themselves, what I would call positively. Hey, these are things that are going to go up when this bad thing happens. And I think we're going to see it in the monetary world and we're going to see it in the physical world. And I think we should talk about both those things because I think there are tremendous opportunities here. And look, guys, all you have to do is outrun the bad news with better trades. And that's how you stay ahead of the pack. And for whatever reason why you want to do that, it's totally on you. You want to do it to help people. You want to do that to get wealthier. You want to do that to protect your family. I don't care. But there are opportunities that are going to be out there for you, and we'll provide them to you. It doesn't help unless you're a futures trader to trade the grains. They're kind of hard on the future side. But there's definitely second order and third order companies that are involved here that prosper in food inflation. And we'll show them to you. And the same thing with monetary inflation. We'll show you, I think Bitcoin is kind of signaling for us, even though, Phil, I think, you think there'll probably be maybe a bit of a pullback here before we rip. But I think we need to educate people on some of these places where they can make a lot of money. Now, I'm not talking on the crypto side. I'm talking about the crypto miner side. Phil's done some stuff this week on crypto. But I want to talk to you about the crypto miners because there's some interesting leverage there. And I think you're going to find that you're going to need this additional dollars to pay for the additional, what I call cost of living. And I'll leave you with this. In Costa Rica, unless you live on a farm, the price of food in Costa Rica is almost the same price as the price of food in the United States, okay, in general. But the people there make basically 30% of what you make in the US in general. And that means food is that much more of a burden on a family's budget than in the US. And so it doesn't take much to push people into that food insecurity. They like to use that word. And in the United States, what that means is you're transferring out buying stuff that you like to buying stuff that you have to have if you can get it. And Phil, we can talk about, look at Hawaii where you are right now, is that you have a shipping disruption. That island could be cooked, right?
Oh yeah, it's very susceptible to supply chain issues, and with the strikes going on in the ports recently, even the Costco selection has been affected, and I've never ever seen that. So I think it's a microcosm of what we can see, bigger picture across the country. I mean, we saw a little bit of that during COVID, right, with the supply chain disruptions. So as comfy as our lives are in America, first world country, in reality, it's somewhat fragile when anything, hits the supply chain issues or unexpected things that are out of our control, like drought, right? So you're absolutely right. It can come quickly like a thief in the night, just like the Bible says.
Yeah. And so, guys, this is going to be interesting. I think, the stability breeds instability. That is a truism. And the more the government tries to create the stability to create a narrative of all is well, it creates instability under the surface. And I think it's going to be popping up everywhere. And for traders, that's really good news. And because that's all we care about. Can we outrun that? And that's where profit is. It's actually very hard to make money when things are just grinding along.
Right.
But when you have surprises, this is where the opportunities lie.
100% agree. All right, guys, let us know your thoughts below. Are you concerned about the drought? Did you even know there was a drought? Let us know what you plan to do about it. And we'll see you on the next video. Please hit like and subscribe and enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. Take care.
Trade Genius.